HOA fees. Three little letters that can make or break life in a neighborhood. When you hand over your monthly dues, you expect to see something in return. Fresh paint on the community walls. A new swing set for the kids. Manicured lawns that make the block look like a magazine cover. But what if I told you that in one neighborhood, those fees weren't paying for any of that? Instead, the money was being siphoned off, funneled straight into the pockets of the very person residents trusted to protect the community, the HOA president himself. Now imagine this. Every month you write a check or the money is pulled right from your account. Hundreds of dollars gone. You look around and see broken fences, dead grass, potholes in the road, and you think, where's this money going? And then you see it. The president of your HOA suddenly has a brand new luxury car. He's posting vacation pictures from tropical beaches. His family is eating at the most expensive restaurants in town. Meanwhile, your mailbox is full of letters demanding you pay even more fees. That's exactly what happened here. The story starts off quietly, just a few whispers among neighbors. But soon it exploded into a full-scale investigation that rocked the entire community. What they uncovered was shocking: embezzlement, fraud, betrayal, and ultimately justice. And the wildest part? This isn't just some TV drama. This is real life, real people, real money stolen, and real consequences. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear is not just a story of greed, but also of courage, determination, and a community that refused to be cheated. Oh, and before we get started, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because I got plenty more jaw-dropping HOA stories just like this one. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Crazy, right? Drop a like if you think the neighbors did the right thing, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping HOA stories. At first, life in the neighborhood seemed pretty normal. Families moving expecting the usual suburban dream. Quiet streets, kids playing outside, block parties in the summer. Like every other community, this one had an HOA, and while nobody loved paying those monthly fees, most people just considered it the price of comfort. After all, the HOA was supposed to handle landscaping, street repairs, and maintaining community spaces. But over time, residents started noticing something strange. The fees were going up, first by $50, then by $100, until some households were paying nearly $300 a month. The president of the HOA explained that the increases were necessary for beautification projects and long-term maintenance. The problem was, none of those projects ever seemed to happen. The playground was still broken. The tennis court was falling apart, and the fences around the neighborhood looked like they hadn't been touched in years. Even the community pool, which was supposed to be the crown jewel of the area, stayed locked up with a closed for repairs sign that never came down. Parents grew frustrated, homeowners grumbled, and tension began to build. At HOA meetings, the president always had an excuse. The contractor pulled out. The budget ran tight this quarter. We're saving for a bigger project. He spoke with so much confidence that most people just sighed and accepted it. After all, who has time to argue about community budgets after a long day at work? But deep down, people started to feel uneasy. Why were fees going up while the neighborhood looked worse than ever? Where was all this money going? And why did the president, who had once lived a modest life like everyone else, suddenly seem to be doing so much better? One resident even joked, "If my HOA fees are paying for his vacation, I want a postcard." At the time, everyone laughed. But that laugh wouldn't last long, because soon the truth would start to surface. If you ever felt like your HOA fees vanish into thin air, hit that like button right now, because this story is about to hit home. The turning point came when one particularly sharp-eyed neighbor decided she'd had enough. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was the type of person who balanced her checkbook down to the penny. So when she noticed that her fees had gone up again, she wanted answers. She started small, just by attending more HOA meetings and asking a few pointed questions. The president brushed her off, insisting that everything was in order. But Sarah didn't buy it. She began requesting copies of the HOA's financial statements, something homeowners were legally entitled to see. When she got the documents, her suspicions grew stronger. Thousands of dollars were marked under community improvements, But no one in the neighborhood could point to a single improvement. Even worse, some line items were so vague they might as well have said miscellaneous. Sarah began digging deeper. She compared past statements, tracked fee increases, and even spoke to former board members. The pattern was clear. Money was flowing in, but almost none of it was being spent on the community. Meanwhile, the HOA president's lifestyle was changing. He was eating at upscale restaurants, showing up with new designer clothes, and driving a car that was way out of his old budget. To the neighbors, it looked suspicious, but Sarah had proof. She started quietly sharing her findings with other residents. At first, people were shocked. Some didn't want to believe it. Others were furious. Before long, a group of determined neighbors came together to form what they jokingly called the HOA Resistance. Their mission? To uncover the truth and hold the president accountable. If you think Sarah was brave for standing up against her HOA, comment resist below, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life community showdowns. As the group continued their investigation, the truth started to spill out, and it was worse than they imagined. Bank records revealed that money from the HOA account was being transferred directly into the president's personal account, thousands of dollars at a time. The so-called beautification projects were nothing more than a smokescreen. The only thing getting beautified was his lifestyle. The luxury dinners? HOA money. The vacations to tropical resorts? HOA money. That shiny sports car parked his driveway? You guessed it, HOA money. Residents were livid. They weren't just being overcharged, they were being robbed. For some families, the extra fees meant cutting back on groceries or skipping outings with their kids. Meanwhile, the president was sipping cocktails on a beach somewhere, funded by the very people he was supposed to serve. When confronted, the president dismissed the accusations, calling them rumors. But the evidence was undeniable. Sarah and her group had collected statements, receipts, and screenshots that told the whole story. The community was boiling with anger. Neighbors who had once kept to themselves now shared a common goal: to bring the president down. Smash that like button if you think stealing from your neighbors is the lowest of the low. The community decided it was time to go public. They organized an emergency HOA meeting and spread the word to every household. On the night of the meeting, the room was packed. People stood shoulder to shoulder, arms crossed, waiting for answers. At first, the president tried to carry on as if it was business as usual. He shuffled papers, cleared his throat, and started talking about future projects. But then Sarah stood up. She projected the financial records onto the screen for everyone to see. Gasps filled the room as numbers flashed across the wall. Transfers, withdrawals, unexplained expenses. The evidence was overwhelming. One by one, neighbors stood up, voices rising in anger. Where's our money? You lied to us. You stole from your own community. The president's face went pale. He stammered, tried to deny it, but the room had turned against him. Finally, a motion was made to vote. Hands shot up all across the room. The result was unanimous. The president was removed from his position on the spot. If you ever dreamed of watching a corrupt leader get kicked out, hit subscribe, because this is just one of many stories where the good guys win. But the neighbors weren't done. Removing him from office was one thing, but they wanted justice. Together, they filed a lawsuit. The case dragged on for months, but eventually the court ruled in their favor. The president was ordered to repay tens of thousands of dollars he had stolen, and he faced criminal charges for embezzlement. The neighborhood finally saw its money put to good use. The playground was repaired, the pool reopened, and the streets cleaned up. For the first time in years, people felt like their community was whole again. As for the disgraced president, his luxury car was repossessed, his reputation destroyed, and his days of living large were over. He went from dining in steakhouses to struggling to find work. The very neighbors he betrayed became the reason he fell. And the best part? The story became a reminder to every homeowner. Don't let anyone scare you into silence. Sometimes, all it takes is one brave person asking the right questions to uncover the truth. Crazy story, right? If you enjoyed this takedown, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because next time I'll share an even wilder HOA nightmare you won't believe.